Yeah, he's here. Clarity is there. Yeah. Okay, yeah, you're here. Well, you're muted. Yeah, you're welcome. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah.
You're welcome. You're
Thank you
welcome.
so much. Sorry for joining late. I was having login in issues.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Scholar, I'll just make you a co-host because my network is very terrible today. I'll just make you a co-host. Should my network, um, uh, like you can see them. Oh, there's Scholar, please. Okay, I can see you now. Okay. Yeah, here you go. Yeah, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you're joining this call. My name is Yusuf Kalania, and you're all welcome to this webinar. This webinar is being hosted by Unilor International Scholarship Forum, so UISF, and I'll be the moderator for today's session. So, like you can see on the flyer, the topic that we're going to be discussing today is to use or not to use generative AIs like ChatGPT, DeepSeek, and the likes. Um, all of these things, using them for graduate school essay writing or graduate school resources preparation. So we're going to be looking at the ethical implication of using these things, and we're going to be looking at how you can use them. We'll join back. Yeah, I just lost one of the facilitators, but he said he's going to be joining back. Yeah. So here with me today, okay. I am navigating the screen because I'm trying to read the message of the facilitator I just went off. Yeah, so with us today, we have three facilitators. So the first facilitator I can see here is Scholar Goodness Ajamu. Did I pronounce that correctly? Yeah, Scholar Goodness Ajamu. I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce that correctly. Scholar Goodness is currently schooling at is it Egeas University in Turkey,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he's currently researching or he's currently exploring things around material science and medicine. So anything around material innovation and healthcare solutions. So that's where he currently research. So if you have any question regarding that area, you should definitely reach out to him. So another person I have here is Scholar Ahmed Lawal. So Scholar Ahmed Lawal is currently in Finland, wrapping up his master's program in educational science, specifically at the University of Turku in Finland. So you're welcome, Scholar Ahmed. And lastly, we have Scholar Hafiz Agbola. So Scholar Hafiz Agbola is an alum of MasterCard Foundation Scholarship. Yeah, so he's done with his master's now, and currently he's a policy advisor for government of Alberta in Canada. So yeah, you're all welcome to this session, and thank you very much for honoring our invitation. Yeah, I'm still trying to see. Scholar Afif, are you in?
Yeah, me.
Yeah, I'm just trying to spotlight you once again. Why can't I see you immediately? For goodness, can you help me spotlight him because you're cool if you can see him from there? Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, so this session is going to be like question and answer, but in as much as it's question and answer, we'll still give chance to the audience to ask questions as well after our facilitators have addressed some of the questions that I will be asking them. So without wasting more time, the first question that I'll be asking will be around how we're going to be framing these conversations, and the second segment of this session is going to be around the ethical and boundary around using artificial intelligence or generative AIs for scholarship application. The last part of this session is going to be around strategy and practices, how you can use these things ethically to submit your graduate school application. So I'll begin by asking this first question. To our facilitators, anybody can take up the question if you feel like, yeah, you are in the best position to answer the question. So what do you think excite or concern people most about using AI for scholarship writing? What's the excitement about, and what's the scary thing about? What do you think excites people more? Is it laziness? Is it nervousness? So what is that thing that you think makes people excited or nervous about using AI to write scholarship essays?
Okay, I don't know. Should I go first though?
Absolutely.
Okay, that's all right. Yeah, good evening, everyone. It's Elon here. Goodness. Yes, to the question, what excites people about the use of AI tools for essay writing, basically? And I would say it's the ease of use, right? I mean, you just have a tool, right, that could just help you in a matter of even in a matter of minutes with the right prompts to help you. Just you have the whole thing set up without so much hassle. So it's come at I mean, people have become so lazy at this point that you just go to a tool, you type a question, and before you know it, you have all answers set already. So again, I would say it's the ease of use. It's the ease of use, and it's how cheap it is. I mean, you could easily go to any AI tool at this point, say DeepSeek, ChatGPT, there's Cloud. There are a ton of them already, all available for free. I mean, at least the free packages is something everyone could access, and it's just like a free tool for everyone to use, and anyone could actually access the tool, and you could, with the right prompts, get some really concrete answers to questions and to probably essays you would like to tackle. So it's come at a point in time where a lot of people are trying to get, I mean, very very solid applications. And when I say applications, I mean essays across to the admission committee, because we know applications these days are very very competitive, and it all boils down to how well you come across when you're trying to tell your story via the essays. So the ease of use again is what I think excites people, and of course how cheap it is. I mean, if it's very expensive, you'd find probably a little group of people using it, but it's free, and I think the free version is quite useful for a lot of tasks that a lot of people, especially students, are looking to use the tool for. So again, I would say it's the ease of use at this point.
Yeah, thank you very much for that, Johannes. Scholar Ahmed, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, sure. Just stepping off from what Scholar Goodness has just mentioned. To me, I think is the what excites people is the freedom. What I mean by that is I've interacted with a lot of scholarship enthusiasts. This might be over a generalization, but I think over 80% of people that actually say they want to apply for scholarships are not actually interested in applying for scholarships, if that makes sense, because they don't want to put in the work, right? So when you see an AI tool, it gives people that freedom to be lazy. So that is what I mean by freedom. People just, why do I need to do critical thinking when something else can do it for me? I was having a discussion with somebody. I said, when I used to be in the art of writing scholarships, I used to use like 1 month, it depending on the timeline that I have, to think about just one question. 1 month. Because in my head, I'll be going all about, I'll be going for my prayer, I'll be going for football, I'll be going to class, thinking about one question. And I told the person, I said, before I write a single word, I already completed the answer in my head. Because the structure of how I want to start the essay, what will be the first paragraph, the second one, the third one, each word, I already constructed everything in my head. So by the time I'm ready, I just take my phone. I used to use phone then. We didn't have money to buy a laptop. I'll just take my phone, sit. We used to have a tree in front of our house. I'll just sit under the tree and be typing. And within 1 minute or 2 minutes, I already answered one question. Now, does that mean that answer will be perfect? Absolutely not. But at least I have an idea of a rough draft of how I want to respond. Now, you will agree with me, especially those that are in the space of doing mental work, where you have to write, you have to think, you have to analyze. People think the most difficult job is those that are doing carpentry and all those physical labor. No. One of the most difficult jobs to do is when you are in the field of thinking. It's very, very difficult to think. And after you do that, you get tired. So a lot of people see using AI as freedom from that stress. I cannot think. Let something else do it for me. That's the first freedom. The second freedom that people see is that I can have this thing for free, as Scholar Goodness has mentioned. All right? I don't need to pay. ChatGPT is more or less, like Wikipedia or Google search. It's just advanced, it's iterative, and it can be interactive depending on how you use it. But it's almost the same thing. They are just search tools. So people see it as that freedom. I can get something for free, no stress, and I achieve the same thing. And what is the same thing? I submit my application. Right? But the end goal is not just to submit the application. The end goal is actually to be able to submit something quality. I've seen a lot of scholarship essays because almost every year I review scholarships for people. And I've seen tons of essays generated with, let me use ChatGPT because it's the most popular one. And the moment I see the first word, I always know. You can't game your way around. You will always know. So for me, I think it's just a freedom that comes with it. People see it as freedom to do anything and allow something else doing the work, while they are free from the concern and the worries of writing their essay. So the second part of your question is what concerns people about using generative AI? I think what concerns people generally is authenticity. I'm sure you probably have read an essay recently from, I think, the New York Times, where somebody published an essay, which the newspaper, and this is a reputable newspaper, right? And they published an essay of books that people need to read. But the generative AI they use actually came up with some fake names and fake titles and all of that. And they published it without verification, right? That is a concern. Generative AI, if you have, because I use them every day. I am someone that has been using Google, for instance, for the past 25, 30 years. I always make sure I ask one question on Google every day. But now that we have AI, I've incorporated every day I interact with ChatGPT asking a particular question. In fact, it might be something I know before. I always love to do that, just that random refreshing of knowledge, getting to know new things and all of that, blah, blah, blah. And I've seen a lot where I've asked the AI to actually develop something, and they came up with references. I mean, I'm very big on verification. I do a lot of verification. Then I've verified, and I noticed that some of the sources, don't let me say most, some of the sources were actually fake. So this is a concern. How do you actually know that what the AI is giving you is correct if you don't have pre-knowledge of the information you're asking AI to give you? For instance, let me use an instance. If I'm very big in farming, right, and I want to apply for a scholarship on agriculture, but I don't know, I don't have the statistics of what is the annual maybe crop yield return in Nigeria, for instance. What is the annual amount that Nigeria generates from agriculture in Nigeria, for instance, annually? I just asked that ChatGPT and I gave it a question to develop for me, but I don't have pre-information. At the end of the day, if I cannot do a proper verification, you just copy and paste and give it to whoever you are submitting it to. There's actually a case of a professor as well, which I probably some of us read about, a professor in the US who asked a generative AI to prepare a course material, right? And they just copied and pasted without cleaning up. And one of the students found out. And the student is now asking the university, return my school fees. If the person that is preparing the course I need to study is a generative AI, my professor cannot even do due diligence. So return my money. You know, these are some of the things that people need to be aware of. You need to be aware of that question I'm asking. You need to have some information so that even when the generative AI is giving you false information, you can be able to detect it easily. Number two, you need to be familiar with the language AI use. AI has their language. No matter, even if it is DeepSeek, whichever AI, I can tell easily when you send me something, and I can tell you that I know a lot of us can do that. You can say this is AI generated, right? The third thing you need to be aware of is there are some AI checkers that you will even create something from your head. You are the one that wrote everything from 1A to Z. And when you feed it on this AI checker to check for you, it will be telling you 98% AI generated. You know, so these are some of the things people need to be aware of. What are the language AI use? What are the language humans like us use? And be aware of all this. So these are some of the concerns that people have when it comes to using generative AI. Just to answer the second part of your, sorry for taking a lot of time. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Thank you very much for that expressive and deep response. That's very enlightening. Yeah, I think that would just take me straight to the second question, which is very connected to the first question. But before that, I think I would just like to share briefly that what Scholar Hafiz shared now, the translative reality of what he shared now happened when we had our last UISF scholarship. So I think the last cycle of the scholarship, we usually call for application and you submit your essay. I think this is an internal information because we are saying this for the first time. So the first thing we did when we received that loads of application, there's a lot of people who submitted the application, even when the application opened today, for instance, people submitted the application the second day. so a lot, we received a lot of application. And the first thing we did was to subject every application to AI detectors app. So once we can see that, yes, this is purely AI writing. I think there was maybe, I don't know if it's 40% AI or 50%. There was a unanimous agreement between the reviewers. And once you didn't meet that threshold, your essay is going to be automatically rejected. So some of you who apply for the UISF scholarship, if you did not get the scholarship, it might probably be that your AI has been, so your essays or your materials have been subjected to AI checker, and unfortunately you didn't pass that criteria. So those are the things you need to watch out for. You might have the best grade. There was even someone who has a very good grade I was even watching out for, but unfortunately the person it was 100% AI, which was very, very sad. So you need to watch out for the things. The second question, which I'm going to be asking, is just like we've been saying. Some
Scholar
people.
Dami, can I add to that before you move on to the
absolutely,
second question?
absolutely, you can.
Okay. Yeah. Like Mr. Toib said, if I'm right, Mr. Toib or Mr. Aziz?
Hafiz.
Okay, Scholar Hafiz. So we need to understand the language of AI, and at the same time, even reviewers still need to be open-minded, because if someone who is reviewing a scholarship essay or something has the intention of this essay might be written by AI, it could be subjected to a kind of bias and say, I don't think this person can write like this. And sometimes when you upload what you have written yourself, it has happened to me as well, that when I uploaded my essay, something I wrote myself, completely myself, I uploaded it to zero GPT something, and it says it's about 90 something percent AI. I was surprised. I was surprised, something I wrote myself. So we need to understand language of AI, and at the same time, maybe we should be more personal when we are writing our scholarship essay. It shouldn't be too generic. We should be more specific, and that would help to skip or to skip the bias. So when we talk of from the question Scholar Dami asked about what is the most exciting thing about AI, I would say it's the reliability. You can always rely on ChatGPT for anything, for any question, anything. You would always get an answer. While I was applying in 2020, 2021, when I was searching for scholarship, Scholar Dami was my mentor then. I would always send my essay to him that, please help me to review this essay, help me to review this essay. But I'm very sure this time around, many people would, you would receive less review requests because people can always review even their scholarship essay with AI, and people can always correct the grammar, the structure, the mode, the tone of the essay with the use of AI. So even me personally, I received fewer reviews this year. Many people did not send me, please help me to review my motivation letter, help me to do this, because people now rely on AI and they see that AI is like is a perfect system that can provide what they want. So it's a kind of misconception, and at the same time, it's the fact. Then the other part of it, which is related to reliability, is low self-esteem. So some people don't believe in their previous achievements. They don't believe in their previous strength and opportunities they've had in the past, and they feel those things are less. Those things cannot help them to win a scholarship. So they try to rely on the information given by AI, and they feel that that is the most correct or the best way of writing it. So I think scholarship essay writers now need to be very careful when it comes to reliability, and also with their low self-esteem in terms of what their previous experience was and what they could do. And even if they write about their previous experience, this can even gain them scholarships than them depending on information directly gotten from the AI. Of course, we can use AI, but maybe as this discussion moves on, we would understand better ways to make use of this AI, and then we can adjust ourselves as writers of motivation and SOP. Yeah, thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kala Ahmed. I think that's a very interesting insight. I like that challenged that stance on ideology. Yeah, we actually had that conversation where we wanted to decide on how to grade the essay submission we received for the UISF scholarship. That was the reason why we had to set a boundary. I think it was 70% or something. Once it is 80% AI generated, definitely there is something going on. So we have to be very particular about this kind of essay. So if you're having 80%, then we have to be we have to be careful. We have to do a thorough review. And if we see that there are some AI language flying here and there in your essay, so automatically you reject it. So please take note of that. Yeah. So question two. I wouldn't want us to waste much time on this because we've actually touched it while we're talking about the excitement that comes with the using of AI. So it's about people. Some people think that, or they say, using AI makes your essay or makes your narrative less personal or less original. What do you think about that? Does he make your essay less original, less personal?
Yeah, if I may start, I think the answer is yes. Honestly, if not because when AI tools were becoming popular, I didn't have the opportunity to when I was applying for scholarship, there was nothing like all these AI tools that we are using. Um, AI tools, I think ChatGPT came out when I was in my last semester of my master's. So maybe if they had been available and I was able to probably explore them, then I might have a different answer. But now that I didn't have that, I think my answer would be that yes. And my point is coming from two things. Like I mentioned earlier, I've reviewed unofficially a lot of essays for people, but officially, I'm actually on a scholarship review board of one of the topmost scholarships that you can think of in the world that is tenable in Canada, UK, and some countries. I won't mention it, but you can take your guesses. And I've we see a lot of essays, and you can tell that this person is original, is genuine, and like Scholar Lawa said, it's personal. And on the contrary, when you see a scholarship essay that has some, with AI, you can also tell. So for me, I think the answer will be yes. Like Scholar Lawa said, we might be able to offer some tips on how you can better use AI. But on a general note, I will advise, if it is possible, avoid it as much as possible. Only limit it to the same function that Google will do for you, the same function you will use Wikipedia for before you have ChatGPT, DeepSeek, and all of that. Limit it that same function, which is research purposes. So let's look at it this way. Before ChatGPT and other generative AI, can you go on Google? You are writing an essay, right? Can you go on Google, search for something, and you see the information? Can you copy and paste it? That is the question anybody that is writing a scholarship should be asking themselves. Okay, can I copy any information I see on Wikipedia, word for word, on my scholarship or my essay? If the answer is no, then apply that same logic to any generative AI. I cannot copy and paste whatever AI is giving me into my essay because I cannot do it with Google and Wikipedia. So the same thing you will need to do to any information you get from Google or Wikipedia, which is you write it in your own word, you rethink it the way you want it to be. It's the same thing you should apply to generative AI when you're writing your scholarship essay. I hope I answered the question.
Absolutely, absolutely. That was a very insightful one. So, Scholar Goodness, do you want to talk?
Yes, I do have. Yeah. To the question, generative, is it personal or not? I mean, the very concept of generative AI itself, I mean, it's a computer system or an agglomeration of computer systems that basically generate content based on whatever the user has prompted it to create. Now you have your essay or whatever whatever you have, and you're feeding it to the system, right? What it tries to do is it tries to conform whatever you have fed into it into what it has been fed originally. So it cannot be personal. It cannot be personal. It tries to use expressions, words, and phrases, clauses that it has gotten from, I mean, it's a large language model. And that is what large language models do. I mean, they try to just generate stuff based on what has been fed into them. And you're putting in your essays into this thing. It removes what is specific about your essays and tries to generalize. And that is, if you're trying to apply for scholarships, this is one thing you want to avoid: generalizations. You cannot get in using generalizations. That's the scholar. For you to be even successful in scholarship applications, you have to develop a way to be very, very specific, very, very specific. And you can be specific with your life experiences, with whatever you have done in the past and stuff like that. And when you feed your essays into the large language models, such as ChatGPT, that is one thing it does. It just removes the specific part of it and generalizes. So it cannot be personal. It cannot be personal. So whenever I think there are other ways to actually go around this, and of course we'll be discussing that subsequently. But again, it cannot be personal because it's a large language model. And what they do basically is to generalize things. And you have generic expressions, you have generic phrases, you have all into that, and you have even punctuations. I mean, in most essays we see these days, you see a lot of dashes, M dashes. I mean, that's what it does because that's what it's been fed. Okay, and it just tries to create original content based off of what it's been fed. And your essays, when it comes in, it just tries to generalize it, and the personal touch is missing. Personal touch is missing, and when personal touch is missing, there is nothing left.
Hmm. It looks like it looks like I would a little bit would not agree with whether it can make things personal or not. I think it depends on how it is used. So based on my own personal use, I use AI very often. I use it well. I use it very often. And I always have at the back of my mind this personal, like I have to always use my creativity. But sometimes, how do I present this creativity could be a problem. So the information is available. For example, I want to discuss my previous activities. I'm applying for a Chevening scholarship and I want to discuss my previous activities. So I've written the activities, those things I did in different organizations, my roles and everything. These are personal experience. If I feed it into AI would not generalize it. Maybe I'm seeing it from a different perspective. So I'm seeing AI like a system. Maybe it's currently now developed than the way it used to be, that when you ask question, it gives you generic information. These days, you can create a chart. You can create your own chart with AI and feed AI with your data. Tell AI, these are my situations. These are the things I have had in the past. These are the things I have done in the past. So it's still, you're not depending on AI 100%, but AI uses your own information that you've given to them, you have given to it, then it's converting it into a content for you. So it's still going to maintain that personal information that personality that you've presented to AI, the personal characteristics you've presented to AI, and it would make it even a bit perfect. Like, for example, you copy, you've written something about what you did in the past, like a page of it, and then you paste it into AI, telling AI with a very good prompt to use this information to answer this Chevening question, Chevening question. It's going to make use of the AI to generate content based on the content you've provided for it. So the topic of making it personal or not depends on the data you have presented to the tool, if I would say.
Yeah, thank you very much for sharing that. It's so good that we're having a diverging perspective about this, which makes the conversation a little bit interesting. So, yeah, I think that would lead me to the next question, which is kind of building on what we've been talking about. And that would be, I'm actually curious about where do we draw the line? Because if you're saying it makes it personal, it makes it non-personal, but where do we draw the line between help? Getting help from generative AI and losing originality. So where do we draw the lines? And I want each of our facilitators to probably one response or two, just to help us clarify how do we draw the line between getting help and losing originality.
Yeah, let me come in here. Using generative AI, I mean, it's generative AI, right? I think it's more useful when we employ it as probably like a sparring partner, if you will. I mean, something you could just juggle your ideas with and just to test your ideas with, rather than something that just helps you write stuff. Because again, it's generative. It cannot be personal when you just put whatever you have into it. And I feel it's just best if you're able to provide context to it you can provide context to your problem, and you're telling, okay, based on this context, could you suggest ways? Do not solve the problem. I don't want you to solve the problem, because if you're telling it to solve the problem, then you're basically outsourcing the critical thinking part of whatever you want to do, and that is what you want to avoid. So you don't want to outsource your critical thinking skills and your creativity to an AI. So in that regard, you would have to basically tell it, give it context, because it works well with context. As a matter of fact, I believe generative AI works best when you ask it to provide some kind of suggestions rather than solving the problem itself, right? So if you're deliberate with asking it how to go about a problem and not necessarily solving the problem, then that is, I think, that is the fine line that you would like you want to maintain. Because by the time you tell it, okay, for example, you're a customer service or you're a HR, right? And you've been tasked with probably just designing something for the team, and you go on ChatGPT and you're basically telling it, okay, I am a HR, and I've been tasked with this particular responsibility. Could you design? And could you tell me, could you plan the schedules? Could you do that? Now this is the activity that has been given to you to handle. And all this activity, you have pushed it, every single thing, to AI. AI would definitely, I mean, of course, it will save you on time. It would help you with efficiency. But the truth of the matter is, you have just given all the work that you're supposed to do on your own, all to AI. There is nothing you're doing from your end. There is absolutely nothing you're doing from your end. You're just going to copy and paste. However, if you look at it from this end, okay, I am an HR and I've been tasked with this particular activity. So we have this particular kind of team, and I'm looking to design this. Could you suggest particular ways of going about this? Okay, I have this particular schedule. Do you think it is nice for this particular kind of team I'm trying to serve? These are the kind of questions that you give to AI, and AI is very, very good in helping you find very, very good answers to this kind of questions. Rather than they're just giving it all the problem and leaving it to solve all the problem. That is where the problem is. And that is how we actually use AI. We try to just, okay, we have this particular essay. Okay, I would like to apply to the MasterCard Foundation Scholarship. And I have this, I have that. Okay, could you write me an essay? I mean, come on, you can do something like that. And of course, this would be reflected when you won't get invited to the interview, because now you have just outsourced everything you're supposed to. I mean, if you use the AI, for example, okay, I have this particular experience. Could you best suggest ways for me to use this particular experience in my essay? For example, I would like to employ this particular experience, say in the second paragraph or the third paragraph, after which I've explained my background. Could you best suggest ways of introducing this particular idea or particular experience into this essay? In that regard, it is better suited for the AI to help you suggest ways of putting or pushing those ideas into your essay, rather than have it write the whole thing. And that is unfortunately how people employ AI these days. They just, okay, I have this, I have that, can you write? And you begin to see different stuff. You begin to see mostly generic stuff. And that is how people are able to know that you've written something with AI, because it is just very apparent. It is very, very clear. It is very, very clear. But when you are using it, instead of having it write everything, you're having it suggest. You're not outsourcing now. You're having it suggest to you, okay, the best way to employ this, the best way to introduce this, you could employ it for probably grammatical errors or stuff. I don't think it alters anything in that regard. But when you use it for it to suggest ways of solving or of introducing ideas into the essay, that way, trust me, I don't think no one will be able to discern that you've used AI, because again, it is your words. Everything is entirely in your words, but it has just suggested to you ways of introducing your ideas into an essay, right? So it's better suited for as a sparring partner, basically, just to test your ideas. Okay, is this good? Is this better? How best can I introduce this? Those kind of questions are the ways I believe people should actually use AI, rather than just have it dish out the whole stuff altogether.
Thank you. Like I said in my first response, that low self-esteem is one of the problems people have when it comes to using AI. we forgot that AI has been trained. It has been really trained with a lot of data. If you tell AI to write a MasterCard sample essay for you, A to Z, it's going to present everything. You only need to copy and paste and upload, and you've submitted the application. That is what we know. MasterCard, any scholarship, because AI has access to lots of data. And when you rely on the response from the AI, then that's all. You have lost that scholarship. You have already lost the scholarship because the originality of your situation, those people that assess scholarship essays, they want to rely on your originality. They want to rely on your context. Okay, if you are from Nigeria and you are talking about security issues, you can't talk about Ukraine war in Nigeria, or you can't talk about Palestinian war in Nigeria, relating it to Nigeria. ChatGPT could provide you such information, like, because you are applying to a security related topic, and ChatGPT will tell you, okay, the topic about maybe, for example, Ukraine, it's affecting economics of the whole world and everything. And you would think, yeah, this is true. What am I writing? This is the best of writings. And then you copy and paste. But the context where you are coming from, we don't even know what Ukrainian, we don't even know what is the problem with Ukraine and Palestine. In Nigeria, we have our own problem. In different communities in Nigeria, they have their own security problems, which those scholarship judges, they want to read. They want to read that story. Some of them might have heard of something related, but if you give them concrete design of how it looks like, then they can rely on your originality. And that is the line between the use of AI and also your own, without affecting your originality. Of course, you can ask ChatGPT about something about how to present your essays, like structure, like uh, grammatical phrases. For example, you want to structure your essay, and you need to know how to link up. Furthermore, moreover, you need some wordings to beautify your stories. So these are areas where we could use ChatGPT or generative AI. Your originality, the information should still come from the source where you have experienced it. I live in Nigeria and I know how it happens. I can give situation of a child that I saw on the street. I can give situation of a place that was bombed. And this is just exactly what originality talks about. And ChatGPT would not give you this direct information. It would only provide information that are generic on the internet. So yeah, so I'm talking about this from the aspect of low self-esteem, low having this belief that whatever we write is not good enough. We should avoid it. So what we need is to understand the structure of the essay, of what we are writing, and then integrate our contextual stories, our stories from our context. We should integrate it into the structure. So the AI presents the structure, you integrate your story into it. Not that AI gives you story and then you paste it directly into that system. In fact, what I know from, for example, Finland applications or scholarship applications is they've made it in a way that you don't have to upload Word document of your motivation letter. They have a system already. They just want you to paste what you've written into that system. Automatically, immediately you paste it and you submit it, in the back end, they've already trashed your essay if it is written by AI. Automatically, the computer will do that. Nobody is doing, the computer will do that automatically. So you don't have to, the judges don't have to waste time comparing whether it is AI written or not. So we still need to understand that originality and context it's very, very important.
Let me just add quickly. Before I do that, I want to summarize what Scholar Goodness was saying. Maybe some people didn't understand it when he mentioned sparring partner. So I would say treat AI as assistant and not a replacement. That is exactly what he's telling you, right?
Exactly.
Use AI as an assistant. Don't use it to replace your brain, what is in your head. I mean, come on, you finish with a 2-1, right? You are the one that finished with 3 point something CGPA, 4 point something, 5 point whatever CGPA. It means that you have quality. It means that you are good, right? It means that you are brilliant. So if there is no AI, won't you still do it? So treat them as assistant and not a replacement. Now, to the question Scholar Yusuf asked, I'll just take it. It's going to be very simple, right? I'm losing my train of thought now, right? Now, what you do, where you draw the line, is drawing the line from copying and pasting. It's as simple as that. Whatever way you use AI, whether you're asking it direct question, whether you are personalizing it, last scholar Lawa mentioned that, oh, you can actually personalize it, it's going to give you whatever it's giving you. Draw the line from copying and just pasting. Whatever you are getting, the moment you cannot just copy and paste whatever you are getting from Google and Wikipedia, is the same logic you should apply to generative AI. Whatever you are getting from me, copy it, don't paste. Copy it, go and edit, personalize it, read it. Okay, is this me? I'm going to give you an example. When I was applying for jobs, like what Scholar Lawa said, because I use AI a lot as well, I trained my chat box on ChatGPT in such a way that it recognizes everything about me. It has all my data, all fact about me, my experiences, my job, my education, everything. So when I get a job application, because I try to test AI a lot. Then I will upload the JD, the job description. I'll say, okay, I'm applying for this job, blah, blah, blah. As you already have my context, you have my CV, you have everything, you know everything about me. Develop a cover letter, right? It will develop it. But because I always pay key attention, right? And I noticed that after a while, the AI was just regurgitating the same cover letter. I mean, not the same word for word, but I could see a pattern in all the cover letters it was developing, right? So that is what personalizing AI now does for you. The moment you say, oh, I'm personalizing it, and you are beginning to ask different questions, because it already has a lot of information about you, it will be giving you the same information in different ways. And that doesn't help. Okay, so let's say you're applying for scholarships. You're applying for Chevney, you're applying for MasterCard, you're applying for this and that. And in one or two of the questions they're asking you, there are some semblances of words or questions that are related. And you are feeding it into ChatGPT. It's already taking record. It's keeping information about what you're asking. So at the end of the day, if you notice, you will see that the response is going to be giving you to the question from the same question or a similar question from MasterCard scholarship. It's going to be almost the same response you will be getting for Chivney scholarship and all of that. It's still personal, right? It's still personal to you, but there will still be some, you will see that it is becoming repetitive, right? So that is where you now draw the line. Whatever information you are getting, like I said, copy, but don't paste. Copy. Now, what I mean by pasting, I'm not saying you should not paste in another place to edit. I'm saying don't paste directly and submit. Copy it, paste it, edit it, remove things that you think that no, this is too generic. There are some information that will believe that is personal to me, but it's still generic. And I'm going to give you an example. One of my mentors, a professor, did a very simple experiment recently. He went on ChatGPT and he said, ChatGPT, I want you to define the concept of kukulajaism. For those that are very deep in Yoruba, kukulaja is a Yoruba word. It is not an English word. It has meaning to the Yoruba people. But in English, no English person can know the meaning of kukulaja. Even ChatGPT doesn't know it. So the professor say, okay, define the concept of kukulajaism. And he asked the same question to DeepSeek, right? The two of them could not provide answer because they didn't understand. Now, what Scholar Lara was now saying, give it context, personalize it. The professor now did it and said, okay, when I was younger in my childhood, our parents used kukulaja, so, to scare children, blah, 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 blah. He provided that concept and said, okay, divine it. Now, the AI too was able to divine it, right? Now, this is a new information that AI is having. Nobody has ever asked AI that question. Now, if I go on ChatGPT tomorrow and I say, define the concept kukulajaism, what do you think he's going to give me? He's probably going to give me what the professor has fed it. Now, is that my information? Is that personal to me? So what I'm saying is that you might think something is personal to you, but maybe it's defined by the context someone has provided somewhere. So that is why you need to copy it and read it. You have to do a lot of filtering. Okay, is this actually me? If I'm to write it, is this the way I'm going to sound? Is this the way I'm going to present the information? If the answer is no, then you know that that is not personal enough. So I think we have to draw the line is drawing the line from just copying and pasting and submitting. Copy, edit it, filter it, whatever you want to do to it until you are very sure that, okay, yes, this is the way I'm going to speak or I'm going to write if I'm the one that is going to do it.
Yeah, thank you very much. I almost got carried away with that interesting conversations. Yeah, this is very insightful. Yeah, I think the next question I'm going to be asking, I actually have something to add for you, but I'll just send it towards the end of the session so that I won't waste much time. Yeah, thinking around this, drawing the line conversations and debates is interesting. And this is a very direct question, and I would like you to answer based on your experience if you've had an encounter before. Thank God, Scholar Fis mentioned that he's a reviewer of one of the most prestigious scholarship. I know him mostly. Yeah, so I'm just curious. Our scholarship committee is becoming aware of AI writing applications. Like, can they tell if I know we've talked about those things, but I just want us to be very much expressive on it. Do you think they can tell? And
Yes, the
yeah,
answer is yes. It's as simple as that. The answer is yes.
how? Why?
So I think it was, I'm not sure if it was Scholar Goodness or Scholar Lord that made mention of it when this conversation was going on. AI tools have a way they speak. Humans, we have ways that we speak, right? We have the way I don't know the best way to present it. We have the way we have our ways of presenting information. We have our tone. Maybe that is a word. Language is expressive in such a way that we understand by tone. That is why they say somebody has accent, right? Because languages are tonal, especially those of us that come from the Yoruba, the Nigerian side, whatever, the African side. We have languages are tonal in such a way that, for instance, when somebody from Uganda speaks, even if I've never heard of the language, right? The moment I know maybe somebody that I have a friend that is Ugandan and speaks a different language, but the person I'm encountering is speaking another different language from Uganda, you can be able to take some guesses and say, are you from Uganda? Right? Because you've heard some tones that relate to that. Not the language itself, but the tone. Now, AIs, maybe the scientists can tell. They are the ones that I don't know what those that develop these chatbots, these ChatGPT AI tools, whatever, what they do. But I believe there are codes where it's becoming so repetitive and so easy to know that this is AI. Because when you look at most AI, their languages are not always that different, right? Unlike human beings. So maybe there's a particular way that, this is the way we have to input the code, which is why AIs are almost giving us almost the same kind of tone and information, right? And because scholarship committees are also people that have access to these tools. So that is what you do not forget. Don't forget that, okay, I'm using ChatGPT. Somebody that is reviewing scholarship, they also have access to it, right? They're also using it. Like I said, I'm somebody that is very big in that. I love exploring all those tools just for my personal use and understanding. So if somebody is not sending me an essay and I'm seeing it, I can easily tell, this person actually generated it from ChatGPT because I've been using it a lot. Now, you don't know who is going to be on the committee as well if that person has been using generative AI a lot, right? Just to develop themselves. So they can tell. The tone is always very different. That is one. Two, the information ChatGPT is presenting and the way they present it is always very different. It's different in the sense that ChatGPT or generative AI, unless you train yourself on prompting, which is something I didn't want to mention about, I was expecting a question on that. Unless you train yourself on prompting a lot, is a lot of work, because I was telling a friend that very soon, one of the job requirements that people will be demanding for is prompting skills of using AI, right? Because 2 weeks ago, my organization just allowed people to be using a chat, what do you call it? A generative AI tool in our work, right? But it comes with some restrictions as well. So prompting is very important, right? Now, unless you are very good in prompting, the tool will give you a very, very personal information. And even with that, you still need to do some elimination. Now, the third thing is that I'm sure you probably saw it recently. People were saying AI tools have some words that they use a lot, right? And once you see them, it's not that human beings don't use those words, but it's very rare for human beings to actually just come up and use that word. But ChatGPT especially uses that word a lot, right? Now, people watch out for that. The other thing that people watch out for is, what is the context that you are setting, right? How are you setting the context? For instance, if I want to talk about the issue of maybe out of school children in Nigeria, for instance, I can ask ChatGPT to develop an essay for me on that, and it will do it perfectly. But will it capture the way I'm going to present it? Maybe not. If, let's say, for instance, I've worked in that field before I left Nigeria, if I start my essay by providing a specific example of an issue that I tackled on out-of-school children in Kano State, for instance, somebody reading the essay will know that, okay, this is personal, because I'm providing the specific response with specific location and timeline. It's going to be different from the way ChatGPT is going to present the same information, right? Because ChatGPT will not understand some nuances that I will understand, right? So those are the ways people tell. There are so many other ways that I believe my colleagues might actually mention when they respond. So people tell because it is, I don't know, it is just easy to tell, because we know, which is the most important thing for me personally, is that I know the way human beings talk. I know the way human beings write. I know the way human beings present information, and I know the tone they use. Compared to the tone a chat tool is going to use. And that is some of the ways that people detect that this is actually AI generated. Sometimes there might be doubt, right? Don't get me wrong. Sometimes there might be, am I the one wrong? Is this not generative AI generated? Is it me that is actually putting an assumption that, this is AI? So it happens. And that is when people go further to verify and say, no, okay, let's verify, let's detect it. Then again, sometimes you can even have some interaction with the applicant because you want to actually be sure that they didn't get you. They won't know that that's what you're trying to test, anyways. But you go to that extent to say that, okay, you ask some questions. When I review scholarship for people informally, and I notice that something is not right, I give them a call. I do that to people I review that. I give them calls and I ask questions. They don't know that that is what I'm testing, but I know that is what I'm testing because I want to know. And their responses is going to tell me. Eventually, I go back to them and say, no, this essay you provided is actually AI generated. And if it is not, I let them know. So those are some of the ways people test.
Thank you very much for sharing that, Scholar Hafiz. Do you also want to share Scholar Ahmed and Scholar Goodness? But please make it very brief because we're running out of time. We need to wrap this up in 30, 40 minutes time. Yeah, thank you.
I mean, let me just quickly add this. I mean, in addition to what Scholar Afisa said, I mean, it's the tonality, right? It just comes across as generated. I mean, it's not like a human cannot generate that, but it's kind of very rare to have that kind of structured material being put out by a human. You know, it's a lot of words. I mean, sometimes you find a lot of punctuations. For example, I mentioned M dashes the other time. You see a lot of M dashes, you see a lot of structure, you see further mode, and everything is just so proper. You know, it's not like it's bad to have a proper document, but that is how AI has been structured. I mean, to give you a structured document, and it's devoid of, I don't know, emotions, kind of. So there's a lot of lack of emotion in the material, and in that regard, you are able to tell. I don't think this is human generated because with humans, we are emotional beings, and that comes across very clearly when we write as well. And there was a way it comes across when you have a human written document, and AI just lacks that. It just lacks that, and it's just bland. It's bland. It doesn't really excite any kind of emotion. It's just normal. It's generic. A lot of structured. I mean, a lot of structure, and there's a lot of punctuations, a lot of M dashes. So people still get around this, but it's still very obvious what it is, and that's how you can really tell.
Yeah, so just to add, there are several ways if the reviewers might want to know exactly whether this is written by AI or not. And we also know it. We personally, the prompter of the AI, we know what is AI written and what is not AI written. So we don't need to emphasize so much on this. We just have to understand, we just have to improve ourselves, our writing skills personally. We can start writing about what happens to us personally in the day-to-day activities. We can keep diaries, we can keep journals. So this could help us to track our emotions, our context. So when we write, we always write with this emotion, with this context in mind. I think it's high time the way English teachers would teach English in secondary schools or in the university, because if one doesn't go to school at all, one can use AI to write anything and it would be perfect. But what kind of writing are we teaching or are we learning? We should learn how to write something that will speak our emotions, that will speak our context, our situation, and that would be translated into originality, writing original things and not thinking that there is nothing you can write from your brain. So that's what I would say. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing that. I think that was just take us straight to the last question for the day. And I think this is what I've been waiting for personally. I'm looking forward to your response to this question. And it's about the solution, it's about the strategies, it's about the practicalities on how to maneuver the point that you've shared, the concerns you've raised in the usability of AI. And the curiosity or the question is around people who really want to use these tools like ChatGPT you've mentioned, DeepSeek and other things you've mentioned today, for people who want to use these things responsibly and ethically, what's your advice? How can they ensure that their voice still comes through? EVI is used. Like, can you share practicalities on how, because you've mentioned that you use these things and you must have some strategies that you're using to maneuver those things. And to be very specific about scholarship essays, because that's where we're very particular about. It might be CV writing, it might be your SOP writing, it might be your personal statement, there are other things around scholarship application. So what would you suggest?
Let me start quickly. I want to be very fast about it because of time. The first thing you need to do is actually to learn prompting, which was what I mentioned before. I'm sure many of us are aware, universities now are allowing students to use generative AI, but they want to see your prompt. So if you are submitting your essay, your assignment, I mean, I'm talking about people that are already in school now. You are submitting your assignment, the professor is allowing you to use whichever AI tool you want to use, but as part of your the responses the AI has provided to you, you have to submit the prompt, which ordinarily you say the questions. You've asked the AI tool. How have you interacted with the AI to get the responses that the AI is giving you? For instance, the topic of this webinar is to use or not to use generative AI for scholarship essays, blah, 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 right? If I type that on ChatGPT, for instance, it's going to give me a response. But if Scholar Goodness goes on the same tool and say, oh, I have a webinar and I'm going to be speaking to scholarship applicants from Nigeria, which is going to be like an audience of 50, 100 people who are looking to apply for scholarships in Europe, in America, and some African countries. This is the topic I've been given, to use or not to use generative AI for scholarship essays. How do you think I should approach this webinar, this my presentation, having this question in mind, and these audience and context are provided to you in mind? Maybe, I don't know if anybody in the audience can try that after this webinar. Go and try these two approaches and see the responses that you are going to get. You'll be amazed in the kind of response the tool is going to give you based on prompting alone, right? So to start with, learn how to prompt. Don't just ask generic questions. Ask questions that will make, okay, so let me put it this way. Give questions to generative AI tools to think. Don't just give them questions to respond, right? The first scenario I painted is a question to generative AI to respond. The second scenario is a question for the tool to do some critical thinking, right? So that is how to approach it. Prompting is very important. The second thing you are going to do, which is a strategy, like I mentioned, I'm going to say it again. Don't copy and just paste. Whatever response you are getting, even if you are using the first scenario that I mentioned or the second scenario, no matter how good you are in prompting, don't just copy and paste. Still do a lot of editing. It's very important. The third thing I'm going to mention so that other people can speak is that Scholar Lawa mentioned something now, but I'm going to expand on it now, which is what I do. Imagine, let's just imagine you start a chat with ChatGPT, right? Scholar Lawa said, always document your emotion, your experiences, blah, 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 on a journal. Let's say you are doing it on ChatGPT. And you say, oh, ChatGPT, at my work today, I led a team of 5 people to solve a customer-related problem. The customer received an order, but 2 of the items were spoiled, right? And with my team, I was able to do blah, 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 blah. I want you to put yourself in my context. You know you've already solved the problem. I want you to put yourself in my context. If this problem, something like this happens in the future, how do you think I should approach it? Now, remember, you are not getting you don't want to use the response from ChatGPT. What you are doing simply is that you are feeding the AI with some information about you. Now, tomorrow you come back from work, you have another scenario, another context. You feed it into the AI, that same way that I mentioned, the same chat, right? Another day you come, another scenario, you feed it into the AI. Now, what you are doing is that you are developing the background for that AI about you. Now, let's now say you want to apply for a scholarship in the next 1 month. Remember, you have been doing this, you have been feeding AI with so many information for a while. Now, you want to apply for a scholarship, right? And the scholarship is on the question is on customer relation, right? Now, you now go to that same chat box that you've created and you say, ChatGPT, remember we've been having conversation back and forth about my customer relation skill, my experiences, you have all the information, blah, blah, blah. I'm applying for this scholarship, a MasterCard Foundation scholarship, tenable at so school. My program, the choice of course I'm choosing is this, blah, blah, blah. With this question in mind and my experiences, I want you to develop a response that is going to be personal to me and it's going to be based on my Nigerian context. You are going to be amazed with the response you are going to get. It's different from somebody just coming today, taking the question and taking it to ChatGPT and asking for response. It's going to be generic. So do you see the difference, right? So these are ways you are going to approach it. Now, caution. Even the one I said you should do, when AI gives you the response, please always remember that logic. Don't just copy and paste. Why? Because ChatGPT can remove some information and want you to fill in yourself, right? I'm sure you must have seen some funny things going around. Somebody looking for a job asked ChatGPT to draft an email, and ChatGPT saying, "Oh, dear sir, it is my pleasure to apply for a job in dash company. My skills are in dash," and the person copy every and sent it to the to the employer. You see what we are saying? So still look at it, what that response you've received, and tweak it to your personal taste, if I can use that word. So those are some of the tips I can share. Thank you.
Yeah,
thank
thank you so much.
Okay, yeah, Scholar, I mean,
Thank you so
you
much,
can go
Scholar.
on.
Okay.
You can go on.
Okay. So just basically, I would say we should not rely on AI at all when it comes to scholarship essays. It would not help. It would not help because these people already they are aware of it, and they are looking for originality. So the only situation we could use AI is in terms of structure, in terms of presentations, not in terms of the information. And that's why journaling your situations, what you do on a daily basis, what you've done in some occasions in the past would help when it comes to these scholarship applications. So in my own opinion, information from AI would not be useful at all because these people want to see what is happening in our situation, in your own life, not in a generic way. So that's how I would put it.
Yeah. Okay. I have just a little something to add. I mean, when we talk about the use of generative AI, I actually think we need to go back to the foundations, right? Really learning to write. I mean, you're applying for a scholarship, which I mean, I would guess that you'll be doing some sort of research or some sort of presentations when you get into the school. I mean, you cannot you cannot be totally reliant on AI. I mean, you're a graduate student, you're expected to be able to present thoughts, you're expected to be able to communicate properly. And all you can do is just want to use AI. It just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right. So as a prospective applicant or as a graduate student, I believe the ability to write properly is imperative. It is really, really imperative. And AI is just an icing on the cake, to be honest. It's an icing on the cake. So you know how to write, AI becomes better for you. I don't know if you understand. You know how to write, AI becomes better for you. And to the point of Scholar Afis and prompting skills, good prompting skills, this is really, really good at this point in time, especially prompt engineering. You need to be able to know how to prompt, because the better you prompt, the better the responses. That's just how it is. We're talking about writing, talking about a persona. I mean, you give an example where you give for someone in Kano State or something like that. You need to be able to give the AI some context. A persona, what is the aim? What are recipients? What am I looking to achieve with this particular prompt? The more specific it is, the better for you. The better for you. And with your good writing skills, you're able to refine whatever has been achieved from that very prompting activity. So again, it boils down back to your writing skills. If you're not a good writer, you're not going to be better here. That's just how it is. Because whatever the AI generates or regurgitates for you is what you're ultimately going to use, right? And again, we've discussed how easy it is for the admission committees to be able to sort out essays that have been written with AI. So if you have very good writing skills, there is little, it's not that you're still not going to use the generative AI, but there is little use for it because you know how to present your ideas yourself. I mean, the only thing it helps you to do now is to probably the structure, or probably you have the writer's block and you just want something to just start with. You have that, you have your writing skills to go on with, right? So your writing skills must be top notch, even if like, you can develop it over time. And that is what you should be looking at as a prospective applicant, as a prospective graduate applicant. Developing real well your writing skills, then your prompting skills. Your prompting skills is very, very important if you're looking to get the best out of AI, and providing real good context in that prompting activity. There's really, really material for you to really get something out of the whole AI thing. And that would be my bit.
Can I add something?
Yeah, so I might.
Okay, just I want to add a practical situation from my own case. There was this research something that I was applying for in 2022. It's about gender-based research, how to integrate gender equality in the classroom. So when I was applying for that scholarship, it's like a scholarship as well. I was serving in the East, in Abia State, and I had a situation in my class. And the situation was that there is this girl that would always resume class around 9 o'clock, almost every day, 9 o'clock, after we are done with the first period or almost done with the first period. And I called this girl, I asked her, what's the problem? She said she's living with someone, and the person had to ask him to go to the farm first, or to go to the market, or to get something. So the timing and everything makes her miss the assembly first period, and that's how it is. So that the principal already know about it, the school know about it. So if I would apply for a topic related to gender, I would describe the situation of that girl. I would describe the challenges she's facing, and I would describe what I personally have been able to do to solve that problem. That is originality. I would mention the local government. I would mention perhaps even the name of the school. I might not mention the name of the girl in details. I can mention the first name of the girl and without the surname of the girl. This is what we mean by originality. And ChatGPT would not do that. So as scholarship applicants, we should always, that's why I would say that journaling of our situation is very, very important. It should always be, when we do something and we're able to solve a problem, let's write it in our own ways as it comes from our mind. I was feeling bad because of what the girl was passing through almost every time. And we have first period, usually English or mathematics. So if this girl is missing English or mathematics class, what has she gained? So these are the topics, these are ways to integrate originality into writing. And I'm very sure ChatGPT would not give you this kind of case scenario when you write your scholarship essays. So originality is very, very important. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for sharing that. That's a very practical way of shedding light to what we've been talking about. Yeah, I think it's very important. And I think, Scholar Goodness, what you shared actually resonated with me because I remember some 5 years ago when I was applying for scholarship, I knew I had to do a lot of reading because I knew in Nigeria there is these, I don't know, that's my subjective way of viewing it. There is this poor reading culture. Even when I was in university, our lecturers had we were referred to fewer books to read even while we were having our undergrad. It was just coming to class with some few notes from they just stay in front of us and dish out some things and we just copy paste in exam and that was just read and copy paste and that was the whole thing. So when I was applying for scholarship, I had to sit my ass down and read a lot. You need to start reading a lot. You need that in the graduate school. So graduate school is not about reading to pass exam. Nobody cares about going there to pass exam. People care about your originality. They care about your critical thinking, the solutions, the innovations you can bring on board. So that's what really matters a lot. So when I was applying for scholarship, I did that a lot. I had to access top journals, even though it was very difficult for me at start. I remember reading some journals 5, 6, 7 times. I couldn't understand anything. Even though I had a first class in Nigeria, I was feeling like, yeah, I'm a first class graduate. But when I come across some journals, I felt like a pass. This is not to say people who had passed are terrible or they're bad. But I'm just saying that even me that is presumably perceived to be an high flyer, I was a low flyer when I was reading this journal. So that's the reality because you're coming to an environment where, especially in the UK,
We all
where these
went through
guys,
it.
yeah, this is their language, their native speakers, and when you read things they write, you just be like, is it not the same English we are speaking in Nigeria? So you need to start reading things. You need to start reading things that are uncomfortable. Go on BBC, read news on BBC, read things. Don't just feed yourself on entertainment news only. Go subscribe to newsletter all these English newsletters and read things up and feed yourself, improve your grammar. And you would see when you're writing your scholarship applications or your scholarship essay, you will see how powerful you'll be writing. So that's from my own point. I believe the best way to learn how to write is by reading. So I read a lot. So read. Yeah, I think that comes to the end of our session. And before we wrap up, now we would move to Q&A. If you have any question, you can drop it in the chat box or you can unmute yourself and ask your question directly to our audience. Thank you very much. Yeah, my highs are in the chat box. You can unmute yourself and ask your question if you have any question regarding the use of ChatGPT or scholarship application. Maybe you don't even agree with everything they've said today. I know there's just some things that are like, nah, used my ego. Something they've said that quite sit well with you, and you feel like you want to challenge the things you've said. Please, you're free to talk. You're free to respond to those things. Or if you even have any doubt, please feel free to. Or if you even want to contribute a few things, you're free to share.
Yep. Good evening, everyone, or good morning, good afternoon. So I just want to give kudos to all our distinguished facilitators for their distinct input about the conversation. And we've all said a lot of things that's very profound. I would just want to say that also, I think most importantly, we need to pay attention to how we archive our experiences. We need to, if you don't have that repository of such information, you won't be able to leverage your experience to apply for scholarships. you won't be able to look inward to say, okay, this is what I'm writing on. That aside, also, we also need to improve our writing skill, our spoken English, the act of writing must be there. I've been opportunity to write some scholarship essays and gotten few, but I realized that things evolve over time, and every scholarship has their main essence, their area of concentration, so to say. Some people might be so keen on SDG goals. How will you put in your experience to suit that major requirement? Some might just want you to come up with a solution to a particular problem, and you just back it up with your previous experiences. So I think that is, in my opinion, is very important. Then you can use AI to like fine tune or use it to even take a deep dive into what we have written. I think one thing that stood out for me from what Mr. Afis said and what Mr. Goodness Buttress is, we need to learn to use AI as an assistant, not as a ghostwriter. That stood out for me because sometimes most of us tend to be lazy to put in that work to prompt, to ask the question, and to make inference from what generative AI will be giving us. So I think that stand out for me. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. Olu, actually, my boss right there. Thank you very much for sharing that and that insightful contribution. So, yeah, I remember when we were applying for scholarship. I remember when like hi and Olu, actually, we used to work together back then in Ijebu, and I knew how we exchange our essays back and forth for review. And I think that's one thing you might probably want to learn as well when you write your essay. If you maybe you've even used AI, you might have to give people for like second eye or third eye to check for you. Let them review your essay for you. Yeah, scholar Lawal. These days, I don't get to see a lot of essay, a lot of requests to review essay. Well, thank God. Before I used to have loads of them to review, but nowadays I have fewer of them to review. So please give your essay out to people to review. Nobody is there to fault you or to rubbish your work, or that's one thing about graduate school. It's not about who comes first or who are the first position. It's about collaboration. It's about reflexivity. It's about subjectivity. So just share your work. Let people critique, of course, constructively. Let people contribute or have a say about what you're writing. You can't just say, okay, this is me and I'm submitting this. Please give your work to people to read before you submit. So it doesn't mean you are cheating. That's not cheating. No, they cannot write your idea for you. We can only review your idea. We cannot help you to write your essay. So yeah. Ulua, Shegun, or Jenny, I can see your hands up. Yeah. Yeah, Ulua, Shegun, I saw your hands up. That gave me take.
Okay. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening. Yeah, so thank you so much for the insight so far. Now, my question is specifically regarding the UISF community. So, because there was a time I was applying, I had done some of the writing, in fact, most of the writing. So I needed somebody to review, at least maybe to just help me check for, maybe use their experiences, just judge it and see what areas I can. So I asked for the platform. I didn't know whether to interpose DM or stuff like that. So I repeatedly asked on the platform, and no single person replied to my message. So I wanted to know until I had to just go somewhere else, seek for somebody to just help me check it out. So I want to know, is there a specific process of to reaching out to people within the UISF group regarding review, like essay reviews, or should we do we only have to, must we only reach out to the admins like you? So I just want to know.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I think that's a very interesting one. Well, hmm. Well, UISF and at least as scholars, they're doing the job for free. So we can't just say, yeah, you must review this essay for me or something like that. These are people that volunteer. They're volunteering their time to mentor people and to help people to review their essay for free. And most of us were still in uni. I have my PhD research staring at me that I also have to complete. Most of us, like Scholar Hafiz now, he has his own job that he's doing. So we all have what we're doing. And so in that case, I'm very sorry that you couldn't get anyone to review your essay for you and in the UISF community. We're always very ready to help people review their essay. But one thing you need to be aware of as a UISF member is that if you check the group description, there is a link to a platform that we've created where you can upload your essay. I think you can upload your essay there, but there is a
Yeah,
time where there are
I also uploaded. Sorry for cutting.
Okay, so if you upload your essay there, it means probably there's something happened. I would apologize for that because I'm not in charge of that. Someone is in charge of because I'm not a tech person. So there's someone in charge of that back end. Maybe the person was busy at that moment. Maybe that was why you couldn't get a response. Was one thing you might also have to do is maybe you can reach out to me. And there is also a list. There is a list of all the scholars, all the UISF scholars with their name, their phone number, their WhatsApp number that you can with your area of specialization, I think so. You can reach out to them directly from that as well. I know it's very difficult when you reach out to people and people don't respond. That's why you might also have to be creative about reaching out to people. Okay, this is me. I've been trying to look for scholarship, and so it's different from hi, I'm a member of UISF, and I want you to help me review my essay. So that sounds like an entitlement. They just be like, what is happening? The fact that you're a UISF member, does that mean I have to review your essay for you? So you have to be creative in your approach when you're reaching out to people in your DM. These are people that you don't even know them personally, and you need their help. So be very creative about the way you reach out to these guys as well. But I know there is a list. Another thing you could do is that when you reach out to these guys, send them loads of reminders. If I review essay for you, you can testify. I always tell people remind me virtually like every day because I receive loads of messages. I have people on my YouTube, like 7,000 subscribers. I get DMs almost every time. LinkedIn, like 12,000. I get a lot of DMs. So a lot. If you check my WhatsApp, oh my goodness, there's some messages that I haven't even thought because it's too much. If if I respond to your message to review your essay, definitely that's a privilege because I receive too much and I don't have a PA. So please, I apologize on behalf of UISF. I know that's unlike us, but very sorry. So if you can reach out to me in my DM, if you've seen it, the review service, just please reach out to me in my DM and I'll try to link you up with one of our scholars in your field. I think that should compensate for that. Well, please, our scholars are also very busy. Yeah, thank you.
Sorry, I just want to say something. Sorry, in as much as you want people to review your essay for you, especially probably your scholarship essay or probably your dissertation or thesis, please be very careful of who you share your essay with to review. I know Scholar Yusuf will be laughing now. Be very careful because I think this is a forum whereby you can trust people you share your essays with because your essays are like your intellectual property. The ideas, the initiative embedded in those essays are your intellectual properties. Please, because those people can just pick up your ideas, pick up your intellectual property and use it for themselves. And before you know it, you see it on social media, they're trending with your own idea, what you initiated, and they are flying with it, and you'll be surprised. Please and please be very careful of who you share your essays with and just wanted to chip in that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much for sharing that. Idea theft is real. So yeah, it's real. Yeah, do you have any more concerns? I think there is none now. Yeah. Yeah, there is none. Yeah, first, thank you very much, our facilitators. Thank you so much for the time and um, for engaging us and for the cerebral conversation you've had with us today. I also have learned a lot about generative AI. I think that I don't even know about. So I think I've heard them today, and they're quite very insightful. And I would also like to reiterate the key points that actually stood out for me from the conversation we've had today. I love that um, it was very imminent that AI is a tool and not it's not a substitute to our innovation, to our creativity, to our context. It's just a tool, and we should use it as a guide and not as a ghostwriter. So that's very powerful. It stays with me. And lastly, I would like to say that you need to remember that you are the main asset in your application. You are the main asset in your application. So not AI, not the tools you're using. You are the main asset. So do not be afraid to use AI. Don't be afraid to use AI. But just to make sure it doesn't, just to make sure it sounds like you. That's it. So do not be afraid to use it, but just make sure it sounds like you. Yeah. And thank you once again for coming. And I hope this conversation has not just answer your questions, but spark new ones, new curiosity, and new discoveries. And I wish you all the best in your graduate school scholarship search. Yeah. Thank you very much. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Scholar Peace,
Bye.
Scholar Love, Scholar Goodness. Thank you very much. And
Bye.
enjoy the rest of your
Bye,
evening,
everyone.
your afternoon. Yeah.